It's now mid-morning on 25th April 1951, and 29th Brigade is fighting for its life. The Chinese have now swarmed down the hillsides and are fighting against, in and among the brigade on the low ground as they try to break out south. And for the first time in the Battle of the Imjin River, the Centurion tanks of the 8th Hussars will now come into action. During the fighting for the hills at night, they've been unable to operate because 1950s era tanks didn't have night vision. But now it's daylight, the tanks can fight. And the fight for them here in the valley will become a death ride. The Chinese are extremely effective at close-range combat against tanks. They've got a range of weapons: captured American bazooka, anti-tank rockets, satchel charges, explosives that they throw into the tracks of the tanks, and pole charges, a long pole with a sack of explosive on the end of it. When a tank goes past the Chinese, they will ram this into the suspension. It'll rotate round, explode, blow off, and immobilize the tank. So this is going on all the way down as the men fight south, both down the valley floor, and many of the Royal Ulster Rifles decide we're not going down into that bloodbath and try to retreat down this ridgeline. And the commander of the tanks in this sector of the front is the 2IC, the second in command of the Hussars, a very experienced officer called Peter Ormerod. In the chaos on the valley floor, the Chinese, with extraordinary bravery, are literally hurling themselves onto the tanks, which have to slow down when they move around curves in the valley floor, smashing on the hatches, trying to get them open so they can drop grenades in. One of the tanks literally accelerates, drives through a Korean house to sweep off its attackers. Captain Peter Ormerod, who's commanding the tanks in the top of the valley, was actually up in his turret because you've got ideal vision, and a Chinese jumps onto the hull of his tank behind him. He turns around, pulls out his pistol, and his tank is moving and swaying, and even though the Chinese soldier is just maybe this far behind him, shoots and misses, and he hears over the intercom, "Sir, get down." He drops into the hatch, clangs it shut. The tank behind him machine guns his turret with machine gun fire. Again, sweeps off the Chinese. John Preston Bell, who was also up in his turret in this mad dash down the valley, said the worst moment in the battle for him came when, as he was heading south at high speed with his head out of the turret, he saw about 100 Chinese in the road in front of him, a company of Chinese. And as they saw his Centurion tank bearing down on them at high speed, the men all hit the deck. And one officer, a Chinese officer, stood up to rally the men, and he drew a sword, a Chinese dao, a kind of scimitar, and waved it round his head to rally his troops. John said, that was actually terrifying for me. Even though I was in a 50-ton tank, the thought of hand-to-hand combat against swords was really frightening for me. Down the valley, about half a mile, there's a very, very sharp turn in the road, in the track. And next to that is a copse of trees. And that's where the Chinese had implanted their main roadblock, their ambush to trap the tanks. 2 tanks and the armoured ambulance of the Hussars, a half-track vehicle, had been taken out in that area of the battle. And as the rest of the tanks, the rearguard, come racing towards it, Peter Ormerod sees that a pretty ghastly ambush had occurred. And he could see the doctor of the 8th Hussars, who'd been captured by the Chinese, standing next to his immobilized half-track, and he literally just waved at the tanks as they rumbled past him. But Ormerod decided clearly something really bad has happened. He could see hundreds of Chinese helmets bobbing in the trees where these anti-tank weapons were emplaced, and also groups of prisoners who had been taken as they ran into this roadblock. So he said, back in the UK, we were Hussar officers, and we used to ride to hounds cross-country in the morning. So over the intercom, I just ordered my tanks, follow me. He took off the road, skidded around the copse of trees, rumbled over the paddy fields, then rejoined the track further down, bypassing the ambush. And when the last of the tanks made it to the brigade harbour area, where the remnants of the battalions, the survivors, were being regrouped and taken into trucks to get out, to get further south, these dazed, battle-shocked men were told, don't look at the tanks, don't look at the tanks. Because the tanks, of course, had come through this melee combat. They'd been swarmed and they'd been literally churning up bodies on the valley floor. So the tracks and the suspensions of the tanks were literally filled with bits of human detritus, and the sides, part of their hulls, were splashed with blood. An extremely gruesome sight and a testament to the savagery of the battle that took place in this area on that morning. Our next stop is at the final position of the brigade, the deep backstop position held by the Belgian battalion and by the last two tanks of the Hussars. We're going there now. Join us.